Welcome to APL Reader's Corner. I'm Elizabeth,
I'm Julie.
and today we are talking holiday romance.
Holiday romance.
Oh, yes, holiday,
Yes.
all of the holidays. So this will be very fun.
Yes.
And today we are talking holiday romance in general, and we are also talking about the specific book we met in December, but it's more than that. We're talking about all the favorite holiday romances. So,
Yes.
what are some of those? I guess, what is it? Love Actually.
Yes. Love Actually. I love that one. My husband hates it.
I have conflicted feelings.
Yes.
And
Definitely conflicted feelings.
definitely.
I love The Holiday. I love to watch that one every year. And Shop Around the Corner. We watch that every year on Christmas Eve.
Aw.
Of course, It's a Wonderful Life. That's still romance. There's romance in there.
David Levitan writes like he has collections that are holiday
Yes.
romances, and I think those
Yes.
are
I
very.
love the Dash and Lily books. They're my favorites.
There's a bunch of fun ones to cover.
And there's a
Um,
Netflix series now for Dash and Lily.
I'll have to check it out.
It's good.
As always for this book, it's available on Hoopla if you guys are
Yes.
interested in it once we're done. And
In ebook and audiobook.
Yes, which is why we chose it, because
Yes.
ebook human, audiobook human.
Audiobook human.
Yes, it's excellent. However, romance. We've talked about the romance genre before, so happy endings guaranteed.
Yes.
Let's talk about holiday romances. What makes a romance a holiday romance to you? And we're not just talking Christmas trees and lights, because those are great, but we're also including like the Hanukkah romances under this.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Under this beautiful umbrella.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, like, there are also like holiday romances that take place at other holidays too.
It's true.
Yes.
There are. I was
There's
thinking,
always
yeah,
the Valentine's Day, but those I think is a totally kind of a different thing.
I think those are kind of a different thing. Like for the holidays I'm thinking of, it's like the winterish holidays. I guess there could be a Thanksgiving one, though I hardly ever see those.
No.
But they're generally like they overlap a lot with the idea of family and family expectations for you, because they're the holidays and everyone is sitting there stressing about buying presents and seeing family who are definitely, there will be no complications that ensue from this reunion at all, ever. No, never. No one's stressed about you. No. Everything goes perfectly because I am exactly what my parents expected me to be and nothing else. Yes.
All the time.
And I know all of you watching are as well. Yes.
Yes.
So,
perfect children.
Sorry. What else makes holiday romance to you, Julie? Sorry.
There definitely has to be like elements of the holiday that are like celebrated together usually. So they talk a lot about, like, this one takes place over the course of like a year, but they talk a lot about holiday traditions, and like she goes on like a trip with her girlfriends, but there are always things where you're trimming the Christmas tree, or going to a Christmas tree lot together, or making latkes together if you're doing Hanukkah. But it's like elements of the holiday are interspersed and celebrated, like moments together.
Along with, yes. So it focuses on that. And I feel like there's a lot where it's transformative to an extent. There's this idea of holiday magic that covers over like a multitude of figuring yourself out on the one hand, and like a lot of ways that if you head home, you can regress into who you used to be. You can find yourself in a new place. I see a lot with like changing careers and that kind of thing.
That's true, yes. And that's definitely present in this book too.
That is present in this book. And then Love Actually has that one character, I think, who does. And you get a lot all over the place with the idea that if it's the holidays, then magical things can happen. And that works well with this kind of shiny romance thing, because, nice to have comfort food reads.
Of course.
So in this particular fabulous book, this particular one, this is about a girl named Jess who lives in London.
She just moved there.
Just moved to London. And she has 3 housemates, I believe, or 4, I guess. Rob's never there.
Yes.
Yes, but Rob is also
Glimpses.
there. So 4. She has Becky, she has Emma, she has Rob, and she has cute boy Alex, who is her housemate, but is unfortunately not looking for a relationship because his heart was recently shattered when his ex decided that, it's such a shame he's switching from being a lawyer to being a nurse because...
How dare he? They don't make as much money, and she cannot have the life that she had dreamed of.
Yeah, pay nurses more.
Yes, that is very true.
That is very true. The description of this book on Goodreads is a little deceptive, as we both discovered. The Goodreads description makes it sound as if Alex enters into a relationship with one of Jess's other housemates. This is entirely false, and the book does not focus on this at all. What he does is has a friends with benefit situation going on with her roomie Emma. That is not the focus of the plot. Instead, the book focuses on a year of these two wandering the city as friends, befriending one another, being touristy, and drinking overpriced coffee in shops. So
because there are lots of different like types of romances. There's like the enemies to lovers and the friends to lovers, and that's what this one is. It's
this one's friends to lovers. It definitely makes it sound like there's going to be this whole jealousy love triangle thing.
No, not really.
Maybe there's a gesture at it, just in case, but that's not why you're here, and that's not why the author expects you to be here.
No, it's more like a baby hurdle.
It's like a baby. It's like these big. It's like an excuse for them to do their already avoidant thing, which we will talk about because I respect it and I'm appalled by it both at the same time. As always with touristy books, it's important to note where the author is actually from. She is not an American, which is what I always assume when I see touristy London books, because I am terrible and just assume that. She grew up in London, and her experiences reflect the guy characters in the book, Alex, where she spent her teenage years visiting and wandering around London while her dad worked, and she moved to England as an adult. So her experience is very parallel to one of the characters, which I think there's just some little slang terms. Soz was one of them that I saw, S-O-Z, and I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like, oh yes, London. There's a couple of those terms tossed around where you're like, oh yes, so this person is actually very familiar with London, and it's not one of those just touristy books. It's acclimating to the atmosphere. What did you find in social media?
So Amazon gives it a 4.6 out of 5 stars. And so one of the readers on there, and I'm just going to spell her name so I don't completely slaughter it, because I will. Irishaire said it was a cute, fun holiday read, and they said zoomed through it in a day. It was funny and touching at the same time. And Goodreads gave it 3.43 stars. And kind of one of their snippets was, "We Met in December is one of those books that will stay with me maybe forever." So, and Hoopla had 3.5 stars. So kind of about the same, like the between like 3.5 and then almost 4.6 on Amazon. So
there's also the very sassy Goodreads reviewer, right?
Yes, there were a couple sassy ones.
Because as always, I'm going to be the problem child here. But first, the things I liked about this book, I really liked the respect for each other's boundaries.
Yes.
Props.
Between Jess and Alex specifically. We'll talk about other people later.
Jess and Alex, a big part of their conflict is that Alex has explicitly said at the beginning of the book to several people that his heart was just shattered into a million tiny little pieces and he's not interested in the relationship right now.
Yep. And he actually means it.
Yes. Props for that self-knowledge, dude. And
because lots of times they say that. They're like, oh, no, I don't want a relationship, but I totally want a relationship.
Yeah, that's a big trope in a lot of romance books, and here they're not messing with that. They're like, this is what this person said, and because this is what the other party believes, she's going to respect that, which I loved. So all of her friends are over there like, but you love him. You like him. You want to be with him. And she's like, did you consider the fact that he doesn't want to be with anyone? Because that's what I'm considering right now, which I appreciate as a central source of the conflict and is what I meant by the jealousy is not the biggest deal in this. The biggest deal in this is just her like respecting what he said he wanted, which was very good. Bravo.
I like that she really listened to Alex. I thought that was a really good part of the book, and I really liked the whole idea that both of them had left careers where they were making pretty good money. Alex was making very good money as a lawyer to pursue something that they're passionate about, and they have that a lot in books. But the thing I liked about it is that both of them were kind of starting over and doing these new careers, and it was hard. And they talk about that, and they actually, it's not this whole, I left this job where I was making all this money, but everything is still fine, and I'm still in the same apartment, and like, no, it was hard. They talk a lot about how like, oh, I went out tonight, and so now I'm going to have to eat the terrible ramen. I loved the thing about the terrible ramen, that no matter what they did to the ramen, it was still terrible.
It makes me want to cry. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, they called it noodles.
No,
but
I'm
pretty sure it was ramen.
I've had noodles. In London, they are marketed as noodles, not ramen. I got the tomato one.
Oh,
I wanted to die a little. It was the worst soup I have ever eaten, and I have eaten a lot of soup. It was so bad. It was cheap. It was $1. There were other tolerable ones, but the one I had grabbed off the shelf just like killed my soul with the first bite.
Man.
And I was like, well, the soul's already dead, so I might as well keep going.
But I like that they talked about that. Like those were details that they included in the book to make it more realistic that, you know, life is not always great and grand when you're trying to start over.
I liked that a lot, and I liked that that was a common theme with other characters as well. I mentioned the character Rob before.
Yes,
another housemate.
I like
He's
Rob.
a chef. He is great. He is just like the deadpan one. So like everybody's freaking out about somebody taking a bite out of the sourdough, and he just comes in and he's like, so a mouse. Hey, been a while. I'm back for my double shift. And I'm like, amazing. I'm glad you're here. Also, yes, a mouse.
And great advice, like great super sound advice where he was just like, I just don't even understand why this is a deal. Like just
yeah, he's like,
fine.
This is too much drama. Come on.
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
dial it back.
I always love the this is too much drama character in these.
Yes.
It's like that's where I'm at. And then the too much drama character comes on and is like, have you tried talking at all?
Yeah.
Is the thing you have tried? And I'm
told
like,
her how you feel.
Not in a mean way. I don't like the mean ones, but I like the ones who are just like, well, I respect that you are currently not at a place where you can do this, but once you do, it will make your life so much better. Would you like some terrible ramen?
Yes.
I liked the chef dude. He was one of my favorites. I wanted a major romance between him and Becky, the character who's sort of in charge of the house, because I thought
they danced around, but it was never.
They hinted at it, but I was like, it would be cool if this guy. I just wanted him to play a bigger role in the plot, because
like a spin-off, like a second novel with those two would have been super cute.
I would also, there's an important role for Jess's grandmother in the plot.
Yes, I love her.
I would die for her. She is so nice.
She's so sassy too.
She's so sassy too.
I love a sassy grandmother.
Always, always, always. It is always so good. And I liked how genuinely sweet most of the people in this book were. Like, Jess and Alex were both very sweet. Like we said, it's friends to lovers. They never snipe at each other, not even once, which is so pleasant. Like, there is nothing where I have to be there like, wow, can so-and-so forgive X for Y? No. I'm just sitting here like, okay, as soon as you guys talk, everything's going to be fine. We'll get there.
Yes. I thought that was really nice. And I liked kind of reading about Alex's journey into becoming a nurse and like why he wanted to become a nurse and his constant struggle of having to explain it to people over and over and over again. That actually felt very realistic to me.
It did. I was sitting there going, I cannot believe people would have these objections about a nursing career. And I'm like, they would not be in this book if they had, like, I was reading them and I'm like, they sound like those conversations where you hear them and you're like, wow, who would say that? But they're conversations you hear in real life. So I'm sitting here like, no, the author has been in this conversation.
I also think
someone in this conversation.
Too, it's probably because Alex is a man and he wants to be a nurse, because they bring that up. Well, why not become a doctor? Why not be? And he's like, because I want to be a nurse. Like.
And I know that's not exclusive. But
yes.
Is a factor that's probably a factor. I've got another friend. She is a nurse and her mom wanted her to be a doctor, but I think there's a lot of pressure on men, especially, to choose that road.
That's true. That's very true. The pressure's always there from the parents. Yes. All right. So things that we weren't super keen on.
This was the most boring book I've ever read in my life.
It needed to move faster. Like,
okay, it's not most boring. That's mean, but it is boring. It is. I was sitting there like, sweeties, honeys, sugar pies, honey bunches of oats. We have been on the same conflict for 100 pages. Like, okay.
I think it needed editing. I think it either needed to be like shorter and more concise, or just have a little bit more to it.
I think, well, it ties in with the thing I said about everybody being so sweet. Like, I am so glad they were so sweet. Also, they were so sweet.
Yeah.
Which meant the one conflict they had could be that they didn't talk to each other. And there's only so many ways you can manufacture for people to still not talk to each other.
Yeah.
Without, like, creating that tension.
Yeah.
Like, I don't generally like tension when I read, but this one I was sitting there like, okay, there's still nothing. Like, we're not doing any ridiculous tropes. We're not doing the awkward walk-in in the kitchen. We're not doing the really terrible conversation that two people are having two different ones. Like, there are ways to do this without fighting. We're not doing any of them. And
I think too, even with Jess and her friends, like, it was the same conversations over and over and over again.
The same conversations on repeat, which was part of the plot, I suppose, because they were trying to push her consistently to get out there and date. And if she wasn't going to date Alex, she should date someone. Am I going to say this one? Am I going to? Am I? Yes, I am. She has two friends, Jen and Sophie. I know we talked a little bit before about our feelings about Sophie's dilemma, which we will talk about presently. We should talk about Jen.
Yes.
Jen shows up on stage wearing a rainbow pants and a vest and like a funny hat, and like has a conversation with our main character about how friends with benefits and non-traditional relationships in that regard are a thing.
Yes.
And like lives in a nightclub with a male roommate.
Mm-hmm. They're breadcrumbs.
I am expected to believe she is straight. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You gave me breadcrumbs. All of these sums add up to a rainbow pants, to a very queer whole, and yet they get to the conversation that they're all having about Tinder, and I'm like, oh, she is straight. And then she only ever dates men on screen, and I'm like, okay, so like, but Jen, Gen, is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, fine. And then there's another character named Mel, who is Alex's sister, who at one point explicitly refers to him as too straight for a friends with benefits relationship. And I was like, oh. However, maybe this is a British idiom because she is also straight.
Married, I believe.
Married?
To a man.
To a man. Like, and I am on board. Like, bisexuality is marvelous and beautiful and exists in literature, and not a single other clue is given that this character is queer. The only queer characters in the book are the side, like the running gag about how every blonde guy could be that gay man that Jess saw that one time. And
yeah.
Like,
oh yes.
Like they have the blonde man, and then they have the blonde man on Tinder, and then the blonde roommate at the end. And I'm like, did something happen with a blonde man in your life, dear author? A. And B, you gave me two perfectly good ladies right there, and then you just took them away from me. Yes. So, yeah, normally I don't pick. Normally it's fine. I don't mind if a book does not have a queer character. In this case, you gave me. It
just felt, off. And I think too, like we were talking about how great the boundaries were between Jess and Alex. I think that the boundaries
were nil.
Terrible. Like she would say,
nothing.
Yes, and it was frustrating to me. The thing that frustrated me the most is when Jen ends up, like, spoiler, Jen ends up dating somebody else and getting in a semi-deep relationship with them.
Main character Jess, not secretly gay Jen.
No, Jess. And something happens with her grandmother, and they call boyfriend, whose name I cannot remember because he was just not that memorable. Thank you. Yes, and James. And so they tell James to like go up there and stay with her while she's trying to deal with this stuff with her grandmother being ill. And that to me was very frustrating because I feel like that was her friends not respecting her boundary, because she was like, no, I don't want him here, because it is very difficult to deal with a family emergency and like guy I have not been seeing all that long.
And I feel like there was plot justification for it, in that Sophie already was friends with James.
Yes.
So there was ulterior motive on Sophie's part there. Mm-hmm. Regardless, out of line.
Yes, agreed.
Not deal. Like there is a point where you are allowed to bully people, and it's not that point. No.
So what do we think? Do we think this fits like the romance genre, and do we think it fit the holiday genre?
Oh no, for sure it did. It did. It has even though it takes place over the course of a year, the primary plot points take place at Christmas.
They do. It's like bookends.
Both the meeting and the getting together are at Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's got the obligatory snow happening.
Yes.
I wonder how they manage that. I don't think I've read one in Texas without a snow. Like even the one I read, I think I read one in Texas where they just added a snow, where I'm like, oh really? You're going to give me the once in 5 years snow right now? Of course. But it met that. It had the family expectations. It had the career change, the transformation. Yes. It had dealing with the past. It had all of that tied in. So I feel like, it did hit all of the holiday romance checkpoints really nicely. Even though they never really celebrate the holiday on screen.
No, they talk a lot about like holiday traditions and things like that. And like she goes on that really great trip with her friends, and they talk about that a lot in holiday traditions. And the one thing I really liked was the beginning of the book and her talking about how magical it was to be in London at Christmas. And like that's when I kind of started to fall in love with the book. And I was like, oh, this is so great. It's so beautiful. I love it. It's cheese. It's everything I want at Christmas. And then it was just really, it was definitely slow. I think it was probably a little bit easier since I listened to the audiobook because there are definitely moments where you're listening and if things aren't interesting, you tend to like tune out a little bit. And so it makes the dullness, I guess, easier as opposed to if you're sitting and reading it.
Okay, so that's the official library recommendation. If you're going with this, then go audiobook.
Audiobook.
I know we're running lowish on time, but we should talk. Okay, so let's talk holiday romance in general.
Yes.
Because this is holiday romance, not just this, so it's beginning to look a lot like holidays.
Yes.
What is your guilt pleasure holiday read watch? Because I feel like everybody's got one. Everybody's got like, ta-da! Everybody's got their cozy Christmassy book. So
I like I said, we were talking about I always watch The Holiday every year when I wrap Christmas presents and Shop Around the Corner and You've Got Mail. Even though You've Got Mail is not set exclusively at Christmas, it's in there a little bit and it's based on Shop Around the Corner. If you guys have not seen Shop Around the Corner, it has Jimmy Stewart, it has Frank Morgan who played the Wizard in the Wizard of Oz, and it's set in Budapest at Christmas and it is a thing of beauty and I love it and I adore it. And I can't say enough good things about it.
Which one is that now?
That is Shop Around the Corner. So it is what You've Got Mail it was originally based off of, which is why her store is called The Shop Around the Corner.
That is way cute.
Yes.
I like that.
And then, of course, like I've watched all the princess movies on Netflix. The one about the what is it like?
Ones.
Yes. Yes, there's the one with the two princesses, the prince and the pauper kind of theme. I've seen all of those. I love those. I love cheesy Christmas movies.
So my Christmas tradition, I also grew up watching The Holiday. That's when the two women switch places, right? And
yes.
Yeah, that was the one I grew up watching. That was my holiday movie growing up. It's not on Netflix, so I haven't watched it in several years. No. I play Netflix holiday roulette every year where I'm like, all right, pick one. And then I watch it while I bake cookies or whatever. And I'm like, all right, what do we think? So I have seen terrible and good movies this way. So you can end anywhere. My yearly winter read is Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh, it's cute. That was a good one. I just read that one this year. I really liked it.
That is cool because people either love it or hate it. It's kind of weird, but I like it. So
it's weird, but it's good. It's a good weird.
And I think it counts. It's got the snow. It's got the family. Yes. So, you know.
Like this year, like I said, I was talking about the Dash and the Lily books written by David Levithan and Rachel Cohen. There are 3. I didn't know there were 3. And so I'm listening to the last one right now and just loving every second of it. And like I said, it's a Netflix series too. And it's set at Christmas. And it's kind of nice because it's that nice balance between Lily, who is like, Christmas, 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 and Dash, who's, a little bit more
no, thank you, please.
Ugh, Christmas.
So and down in the comments, we will post the Hoopla link because we went hunting for it and it's tricky to find, but once you can find it, there's a tag for all of the holiday romances, like not just Christmas, holiday in general. So if you were like, I want a Sappy read and not the one you just discussed, don't worry, we can help. We will give you that link. So that should be good. And then, all right, I think.
And tell us some of your favorite Sappy holiday Christmas movies, or just favorite Christmas movies and favorite Christmas books. We want to hear all about them.
And if you say Die Hard, you are allowed to say Die Hard.
Yes.
We will give you 1 chuckle for Die Hard. Just the one, though.
I think Die Hard's a Christmas movie. We actually there is a children's book version. It is for adults, just to be very clear, just like the movie. But there is a children's like style book written about Die Hard. Yes. And the library, I believe, has it because I bought my husband a copy last year as like a gag gift. So, and there's a Home Alone version that's for kids. So,
there is also a banner on Hoopla. I was checking to make sure called December Movies of the Month. If you are wondering and you're like, do I want to watch these? You do, because there are 2 that feature dogs.
Oh, Pets at the Holidays is the best.
Dog holidays are the way to go. So
they're the best all the time.
It's true. Normally right now we would do a shout out for our next virtual programming. However, we're taking a break. It's holidays. We'll be gone. We will be back in January. We wish you all Merry Christmas, Merry Hanukkah,
and Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, or Happy Krampus. Whatever you celebrate, happiness.
Roll the dice. Happy that.
Yes.
And we will be seeing you in January. We are very excited to see you. And wow, 2021. We'll see you in 2021.
Yes. May it be a better year.
That's frightening, 2021. Anyway, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.